it is my pleasure to welcome Keith Russell from the Hamilton Business Center to, on behalf of economic development and on behalf of the Small Business Center, provide a few words to kick us off here today.
I appreciate that, Greg. And happy Small Business Week, everybody. Just kind of echoing some of the things Greg said. This week we of course celebrate the heart of Hamilton's economy, which is our small businesses. Hamilton Economic Development is pleased to sponsor this webinar, or this week's small webinar series, in partnership, of course, with the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. More than 98% of Hamilton businesses are small businesses, driving growth, creating jobs, and shaping the character of our community. In fact, Hamilton is home to approximately 16,000 plus small businesses, supported by a very dynamic ecosystem that includes our business improvement areas, or our BIAs, Hamilton ECDEV, as Greg has mentioned, the Hamilton Business Center, and of course, the Chamber of Commerce, the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. My name is Keith Russell, and I'm a Senior Business Development Officer, and I join you today in partnership with Hamilton ECDEV and the Hamilton Business Center. Also referred to as the HBC. The Hamilton Business Center is a section that lives within Hamilton Economic Development and is in partnership with the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation, and Trade. So we're located on the first floor of City Hall. The Hamilton Business Center is your one-stop source for business information, guidance, and professional advice on running and starting a small business in the city. So just real briefly, we provide an array of service that help support and foster small business startup and scale ups across the city. So I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we do offer an opportunity to meet with a business development officer for free one-on-one in our office. We can help with things like preparing business plans, marketing strategies, and exploring some of the rules and regulations that may apply to your industry. If you're a growing business and have questions or challenges, our team can assist in navigating the regulatory process of opening and starting a business within the city. We also provide free access to marketing and legal advice for all your business matters through our Access to Professionals programs. And we offer many bespoke programs, as well as financial incentives through some of our more flagship programming like Starter Company Plus. So I hope everybody enjoys today's webinar, and I appreciate the opportunity to join you guys.
Fantastic. Thanks, Keith. And I know we've got a great partnership with everybody in ECDEV, but really appreciate all the work we do to support our small businesses. And I know there's great relationship and kind of supporting and sharing back and forth with our when someone comes in and making sure that we're providing them all the resources they need to be successful. When we look at businesses and small to medium enterprises in this community, I know one of the things that I'm most proud of with what we do at the chamber here is our partnership with Chamber Plan and with Skyway Insurance, who facilitate it for us here in Hamilton. And it's just so important not only to support businesses, but also to ensure that your employees have the benefits they need to live their lives and be successful. So for many of us, we're only as strong as the great people that we have working for us. And so that's why Chamber Plan is such an important part of our Hamilton Chamber of Commerce experience. It is my pleasure today to introduce Arcoras, who facilitate part of the programming through Chamber's Plan, Director of Coaching, Makenzie Chilton, and VP of Sales, Randy Wetmore. And they're going to take us through today's webinar, which is Built for Growth, Forging Hamilton's Future Through Coaching. And they're going to reveal how coaching empowers small businesses to grow smarter and reduce stress. By strengthening leadership, focus, and resilience, coaching can become a secret weapon that drives performance, improves decision making, and helps entrepreneurs thrive in competitive markets. And I'm not going to try to read too much into it, that my team chose to have this be our first webinar today. But on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Makenzie and Randy and sit back and listen. So over to you, both of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks so much, Greg and Keith. I'm just gonna try, hopefully technology works, to share a screen. And you're gonna have to tell me, I'm not gonna see.
Sorry, yeah, you're good. Randy's driving the slides. I'm gonna be talking a lot. Here we go. So yeah, you can go for it, Randy.
Perfect.
We're just going to dive right in. I know we're going to try to have room for questions at the end. But as we were preparing this, we were making, some guesses about who is on this call. So you're a business owner or leader, you're wearing every hat and it's exhausting. You've built something great, but growth feels a little bit stuck. You want to lead better, but maybe there's no time for that training and people development that you really want to provide for your staff. I know this to be true. You're investing so much energy and sometimes you're not seeing enough of a return. You know that you need some systems in place, but you don't know where to start. So our promise to you is that if you engage in this webinar, so we are going to get a little personal with your business if you feel brave, is that you're going to hopefully come away with something that you can take action on. So this is really about you. I am going to explain what coaching is because I know not everyone has experienced coaching before, and it can get a little muddled sometimes with consulting. So we're going to get really clear on what coaching is, how it might help your business. But there is going to be an opportunity for you to get some sight on specifically how coaching could help your business. So with that, as long as you're, paying attention, if you're watching this on a recording, feel free to connect with Randy and I after to see, this is my business problem. How could coaching help me? And I'm happy to answer those questions. But if you pay attention and you're engaged, our promise is that we know that you'll get something out of it. So we'll do little intros, and I think our backgrounds are important. So I'm the director of coaching at Arcora. I've been with them for 2 and a bit years now. But previously, my background is I have a master's in psychology, and I did that for a few years, heavily in the research space, which is still something that's really important to me. Then I started my coaching practice. So I understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur, where you're 80% of the time doing marketing, trying to get new leads, all those different types of things. And about 20% of the time, what I do is coaching. And then also I have 15 years of food and beverage experience. So while I was building my business, I was also supporting restaurants out here in Vancouver. So just a little bit of background, because I know before everyone else hopped on, we were talking about the amazing food scene that Hamilton has. I've been there and I was so excited that the food was so delicious. So if that's you, just know that I understand the time and energy it takes to run a restaurant or cafe. And I'll hand it over to Randy.
Thanks, Mac. So Randy Wetmore, I'm actually a bass player by trade who somehow has found his way into sales consulting. Really fortunate enough to start in digital health pre-COVID, which was fantastic journey. Spent the last, I would say, 7 years in and around the digital mental health space, and have ran my own practice for a number of years, which is ironic. Somebody who's never explored coaching to meet Mac and Arcora and get some coaching myself and have my mind blown on how powerful it is, and also something that I didn't realize was missing from my career and in my business. So really excited to share some of the ideas we have around coaching and how it can help you.
Okay, so I worked closely with Dr. Hae-Sun Moon out of the University of Toronto. And we wanted to make sure that everything we were building at Arcora was really based in evidence and research that's already out there. So we specialize in workplace and business coaching, and it really is that personalized one-to-one professional development. So taking a look at these different topics, I want you to take a moment and see which of these areas could be supportive for your business. which of these areas could be supportive for yourself as the owner or leader, and then which of these areas might be supportive for your team. One of the things that we come up with coaching is that people feel like they kind of have to wait to access until there's a problem. But really, coaching can help you with growth. So maybe you feel like you already have a really good business strategy. A coach can help you catapult that and kind of rocket ship it to the next level. So there doesn't need to be a business problem. I might frame it that way sometimes throughout the presentation, but just know that it can be a problem. Maybe there's a few fires you need to put out, but also maybe you just want to get better. So the easiest analogy for this is sports, right? So everyone knows how a coach supports an athlete. In the same way, a coach can support your business. So, you know, Tiger Woods is still engaging with a swing coach, even though he's one of the best in golf, right? So just to kind of highlight that there doesn't need to be an issue. It can be, you know, just if you want to be the Tiger Woods of your business in Hamilton. Next slide, Randy. So just take a moment and I want you to think of a question. So I'm going to go through a few case studies here, but I want you to think of what's an area you want to develop, or maybe there's a business problem in your business. And, you know, we really want to be here for you. So we're going to have an opportunity. You're going to pop them in the chat later. And then I'm going to give you a business strategy that a coach could support you with, or show you how a coach could support you with either that business problem or that area that you want to grow. So keep it really specific to your business, because I do want everyone here to get the most out of this webinar. So we're gonna run through 3 different case studies, and another misconception with coaching is that they need to have experience in that industry. So myself as a coach, I've worked with mining, I've worked with construction, I work with a lot of advertising people in the States. I've never worked in those industries. And so a coach is industry agnostic, which is, again, a little bit of a difference between consulting, where consulting is someone who has been there before and they're going to kind of show you the roadmap of what worked for them. So coaching is really going to be that strategic partner that isn't going to impose their idea of what works, but it's going to really help you and keep you accountable for what works for your business. So here in this example, so I'm just going to move some things on my screen here. We have a retail owner. So Sarah owned a small woman's clothing boutique. They had a strong local buzz, but inconsistent sales. So it was really seasonal for her. She kept getting stuck in the day-to-day tasks and found herself reacting to slow periods instead of planning ahead. She had ideas for online expansion, but no clear strategy or accountability to make that happen. So Sarah engaged with a coach every 2 weeks at the beginning, and she worked on creating quarterly goals that were tied to measurable outcomes. So we're talking about website traffic, conversion rates, and inventory turnover. Her coach introduced a simple accountability system using a 1-page scorecard so she could track weekly progress. And so within 6 months, Sarah was able to launch her e-commerce store, increased her sales by 28%, and then started delegating more to her part-time staff. Oh, Randy, your screen, there we go. And so you can see, she said, coaching gave me the structure and someone to hold me accountable for my own goals, something I've never had as a solo owner. So we know that there's a lot for folks to do as the owner, right? And it's really hard to focus on which area needs the most attention, to drive yourself forward and the business forward. And so this might be something that that you're thinking about. Or it could be something that you're wondering if is a right fit for you. Okay, next slide, Randy. Okay, so this one, I feel deeply in my bones. And so Marco opened his cafe. He worked 70 hours a week. I've opened 7 restaurants in Vancouver. I absolutely understand how the hours that folks are working in food and beverage. And he's trying to do everything himself. So after 2 years, he felt completely drained. His creativity was gone. His health was slipping, and staff turnover was really high. And so he was considering just closing the business altogether, just trying to make it work. So he engaged with a coach and helped him identify that he was really quickly entering burnout, identifying those warning signs and building some boundaries into his schedule. So I know that everything can feel really urgent as a business owner. And so together they worked on shifting his mindset from I have to do everything to I'm building a team that can thrive without me. The coaching sessions focused on stress management, time blocking, and redefining success as sustainability rather than that constant hustle. So Marco was eventually able to reduce his hours by 25%, hired a trusted manager, and introduced small wellness practices for himself, but also for the staff. 6 months later, the cafe's profits had stabilized and his energy had returned. And so the overall impact was that coaching reminded him that taking care of himself was a business strategy and not a luxury. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is a marketing agency. And so Sasha grew her freelance marketing business into a small agency that had 5 employees. But she had previously been freelance and built it up. And so managing people was new territory for her. She really struggled with delegation, felt guilty giving some feedback, and then often just redid her team's work instead of mentoring them on how to improve it. So her coach that she worked with guided her through some leadership development tools, including strength-based management and emotional intelligence framework. They practiced feedback scripts together, built clarity around roles, and created a weekly leadership rhythm that included one-to-one and check-ins and team goal setting. So the result, Sasha's confidence as a leader grew, employee engagement scores improved, client delivery times shortened, and revenue actually increased 40% year over year. So coaching taught her that leadership wasn't about control, it was about clarity and communication. Okay, so now it is your turn. So like I mentioned, I do want everyone to get something from this. If you have questions about coaching in general, you can pop those into the chat now. But if you do have a business problem that you're working with, or an area that you want to improve, tell me a little bit about your business. And then I can maybe ask some more questions, but also talk about how coaching might be supportive for you. And then if you go to the next slide, Randy, we'll just bring up those different topics. So again, these are the different topics that we created with Dr. Hae-Sun Moon out of the University of Toronto.
I think the way to put the question in is through the Q&A function. So you should see Q&A, and I believe you can type in a question there. Although I can't test it.
Yeah, we can't test it. It's at the bottom of your screen. There's a Q&A.
Makenzie, well, we're waiting. I don't mind going because I think a lot of what you said resonates with me as someone who has the pleasure of running an organization and gets to deal with it. And I think until you're running your own business or you're the person I always remember one of my first meetings, two staff members were talking to each other, and in a way that I was like, okay, we need to move on. And I'm like, somebody's got to tell these guys we got to move on. I'm like, oh crap, that's me. I got to tell them to move on. Anyways, it was one of those lessons. But I think as you were talking about those, reducing your hours from 72 to 55 and taking the time for the coaching, I think one of the things that I've read a lot of these books. What's your advice for taking the lessons that you learn and you should be doing and actually implementing them into practice? And I think that can go from both, skills within the workplace to taking time for yourself and for mental and physical health. And we just any of that guidance you have, while we're waiting for some answers, I'd love to hear because that would help me with
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of the things that I outlined maybe in those case studies is things that you're like, oh yeah, I know I should be doing that. But then the question is, are you, right? And then why aren't you? So a key aspect of working with a coach is that accountability piece. If I know that I have a meeting with my coach in 2 weeks and they're telling me that these are the things I need to have done, yeah, I don't know. There's like a little bit of like social responsibility there that you're like, it feels like with my teacher. So I'm gonna make sure that I get that homework done. And then, I work with clients still, and if they don't get the homework done, that's the first thing we check in on, right? Is did you do the tasks that we set out at the beginning? And that can include self-care, right? And sorry, I just read your note. So it can include those things that are part of self-care. But you're still going to ideally have them done for the coach. And if you come to the coaching session and they're not done, they're going to have a conversation of like, why didn't these things get done? Are they not a priority for you? Do you not see the value? And then we either pivot or we figure out what the blockers are into getting those things done. So I've done this before, like personally with a coach. I've also done it with other entrepreneurs where we try to keep ourselves accountable. In my experience, it works much better with a coach just because they're like a little bit removed from, the person I was working with in mirroring was like a friend of an entrepreneur. So I didn't feel that like accountability as much essentially. So one question coaching can have on a thanks for sharing the impact coaching can have on a business. I'm wondering if you offer these supportive services for freelancers and app development. No, and that's the thing. So it is totally industry agnostic. We're going to talk about how the chamber plan can support you and how Arcora can support you. But that is the beauty of coaching versus that consulting, is that you can get matched with an amazing coach and they can support you no matter what industry you're in. Yeah. Awesome.
Mac, maybe I can get you to expand. You mentioned my favorite and least favorite part of coaching, which is feedback scripts, and maybe I'll seed role playing. Maybe context. My role typically in organizations is around building great sales teams, and I think sales teams often get a really positive rah culture, which can make some of the more difficult conversations extra tough. Delivering bad news, having those one-on-one conversations around underperformance, especially in a sales environment where I'm so busy, I'm succeeding, and having that tough conversation. That's definitely something I've seen in coaching sessions, and I'd love for you to expand what that might be like to go through that.
I also just want to acknowledge that Randy's very coachable, and sometimes in our meetings, I like secretly give him coaching and he just takes it. So
Great coach.
Great coach. Yeah. Thank you. So feedback is a huge part of management, of team management, right? And so it feels uncomfortable often, especially if you want to keep morale up and you are trying to keep the workplace happy. So there is a little bit of, we need to get okay with the discomfort. So how can you sit in your discomfort knowing that it is for the benefit of the business? And also that other person, might just have to sit in their discomfort. So overall, like I could go on about this like existentially, but sitting in discomfort is okay. And working with a coach can support you to really map out what that conversation is going to look like, so that, we've heard of the compliment sandwich, where you say something nice and you say what we're going to improve on. Another tactic that I really love is the stoplight. So what a red light, yellow light, green light. So what are we going to absolutely stop as a team? Or one-on-one, what is yellow that I'm like, well, I'm a little bit concerned about this. So that might be something like time management, or, your business hygiene. There's like a little yellow light there going off for me. And then the green light, what are you doing that's really amazing? And so that's just an example that I've done as a coach, is worked with teams to implement that red light, yellow light, green light into every one-on-one session, so that it's just standard, right? So part of the feedback process is that stoplight, and it just becomes a part of the culture. Does that answer your question, Randy?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So if you do have more, business problems that you want to pop in, feel free to do that. We do have time at the end to cover some more. So maybe you need some time to think. But again, this is for you. So if you have a business problem that you want to pop in, I'll give you some coaching around it. I'll map out a plan for you or show you how a coach could be supportive, but we'll keep it moving for now.
Okay. So I thought I'd share just a little bit about Arcora. And I always think it's really important, not totally to focus on what you do. Obviously, we have a fantastic approach to coaching. We have an employee assistance program. We have a business assistance program, all available through the Chamber's plan, and to non-Chamber members as well. But I think the why you do something is really important in business today. And for us, our core, everything we do, we go back to our purpose, which is facilitating Canadians living meaningful lives by supporting healthier businesses. Obviously, there are lots of ways to support people through health, but we believe that if you have a really great place to work that is taking care of your employees, that's going to trickle down into our communities, into our families, into our relationships, and not to go too pie in the sky, but if we have healthier business communities, it'll be a healthier world. That's our philosophy. We've been doing this for a while, and I think that's important. There's lots of different coaches out there, and our goal wasn't to give a sales pitch. It's just to educate on, working with a coach can be a really powerful tool for any entrepreneur or business leaders. Our program, we've got a little bit of credibility to stand on. We've been supporting Canadians for over 16 years. Almost 300,000 Canadians depend on us for some form of business support, whether that's mental well-being or now coaching. We went through a rebrand, and right now we're super excited. Through the Chamber's plan, we're supporting over 35,000 business leaders, I'm from a town of 500 people in New Brunswick, so those types of numbers kind of blow my mind sometimes when I'm thinking of, oh, that's a small city. We're both French and English, but for us, similar to our mission to provide Canadians with proper mental health care, we've been doing that at Arcora for 16 years. We see a lot of overlap between coaching and mental health. There was a word I was thinking when you were talking, Mac, as an entrepreneur and not knowing the next step and not knowing who not knowing who to talk to about a particular problem. And I'm sure some of you felt this way. It can be really lonely running a business. Like if somebody hasn't been in your shoes, or somebody hasn't lived in your world, it's sometimes tough just to find somebody that can talk to you about that. I think that's where the cross for us is in having a large scale therapeutic network. We've been providing EAP services for business leaders, knowing that they need support, their staff needs support. This is just a different way in looking at, and a different form of support that's not necessarily reactive, people coming to us in a time of need, but proactive, and people saying, hey, I want to work on my business. I want to get better. I want to drive this forward, and I want to get ahead of problems before they're small problems before they're large problems. The reason I'm bringing that up is for anybody that does have chamber plan benefits, we made a change traditionally in the BAS product that you would have access to. There's typically three, what we call mandated referrals. You could provide three mental health sessions to an employee who needed it, or yourself as a plan administrator. We've changed that. We see a lot of organizations investing in EAP for all of their staff, which is fantastic. But we wanted to make sure that we were adding some value there. So we've actually embedded 3 sessions of coaching in the BAS program. So every leader, every plan administrator, and it is the plan admin only, that has purchased chamber plan benefits, you have 3 sessions with a rock star coach like Makenzie or someone on her team, which I think is huge. And another interesting trend that we've seen is 80% of the people, so that's 4 out of 5 people that access 3 sessions, as soon as that 3rd session's done, they're raising their hand and saying, how do I get more? Why is that important? I think, our goal to make healthier businesses and provide value, 4 out of 5 people asking for more is a good indicator that they are getting a lot of these sessions and want to keep going.
Can you just go back to that? Yeah. So all that to say, if you have this BAS support, it also renews in January. So you can, we'll send out a one sheet of how to access. But you get 3 free sessions, between now and January 1st, and then it reboots January 1st. So encourage those of you who are business owners. So it is for the business owner only. You can't defer it to an employee, but hopefully that's supportive. You can access that right away. And so, we want to talk a little bit about coaching in general, and we'll share what we chose to do at Arcora. But as you're thinking about this, whether you work with Arcora or someone else, just think about these are the things kind of to consider as a business owner. So technically, coaching is an unregulated industry. So I always joke that my dad, he's in construction, he could quit his job tomorrow and call himself a coach, right? And so with that, vetting is one of the major aspects of hiring someone that will help you. So at Arcora, we did make sure that our coaches were trained in line with the International Coach Federation standards. So that is the governing body should people choose to sign up or to get certified, but it's not required. So in counseling and therapy, it is a requirement, and they have different governing bodies. In coaching, it isn't. So it was really key for us to make sure that we vetted our coaches. They're all across Canada, which is super helpful, especially with time zones. And I'm not going to get too deep into the specifics, but there's 3 different levels for coaching, and all of our coaches are they're seasoned coaches. So they have more than 500 hours of experience, and they have over 120 hours of training. So that they have done this before. You're not going to be their first client. And that really was important to us when we were making sure the coaches in our network were going to help Canadian businesses in the best way. Pricing. So you can hire a coach privately. A lot of them have, systems or packages that they run you through, and they're amazing. I've done it. So our model does allow us to offer services at a very competitive price. If you're looking in the private sector, they run from $350 to about $500 a session. Okay, so that's generally what you'll see out there. With us, we have different packages. So we have 6 hours, 12 hours, or 16 hours. But again, if you are a member of the chamber plan, you get those 3 free hours every year. That's included. So we at Arcora have built some tech that is really supportive of your journey. I know with my private clients, I'm sending them their session notes and it's, it gets lost in their Gmail somewhere. But with Arcora, we have a platform. So everything is all in one spot for you. You can log in, book your session, and have all your notes and tasks that you have to do for that accountability all in one spot. So we are big fans of research, and we have an in-house behavioral scientist, Dr. Mark Milo. And so we are continually evaluating the program that we do. Sometimes when he sends me reports, I get like PTSD from grad school statistics, but it is really important to us. And so what we've seen so far is that there is a reduction in employee turnover, and something that we measured, but we weren't necessarily expecting, is that there is an increase in well-being and resilience. So yes, it's helping the businesses. There's a $7 return for every $1 spent on coaching. And we're seeing that significant increase in well-being and resiliency for those folks that are taking part in coaching, which is really like amazing as an ex-therapist and now a coach.
I might just add to that, if I can, Mac. Just one of the areas that we're seeing a lot of folks interested in coaching is not always for themselves. I think working with a coach is fantastic, but for their teams. So when we think of, tackling employee turnover, startups, entrepreneurial environments are often very stressful. We often have to grow very quickly, upskill very quickly, wear multiple hats. There's just a lot of risk for burnout, for potentially not having the skills to step up to a new task. And I think the traditional solution to that, unfortunately, is to go work somewhere else after you've been at a startup for a year or two. What we're seeing is people purchasing this not only as a way to recognize those staff of, hey, I really value you going the extra mile. I want to get you some extra supports. People feel seen that way. But also, you're investing in something that has a tangible impact on the way that they show up every day, a tangible impact on their mental health. And we believe our data is going to show a tangible improvement on their longevity with the firms that are investing in them.
Yeah. So we'll open it up to questions. You can go to that next slide. And then I do want to just feel free to email us if you have any questions that come up later in the week. Take a screenshot of this so you remember our email addresses. But we are really here to support you. So if you're not sure if coaching can support your specific industry or your specific business, please feel free to reach out. And then Randy, can you just go to the next slide that we said we might not show? No, the other one. That one. Yeah. So if you are a member of Chamber Plan, the 3 sessions of coaching are for the business owner only. So you can't transfer them because Chamber of Commerce, decided essentially that they really wanted to support the business owner. So when you log into your My Benefits, make sure you're under your plan admin account. On the left-hand side, you'll see business assistance services. Right there, you click to this arrow where it says Access Leadership Coaching. You fill out a quick form. We do some checks on our end, and then you're uploaded to the platform. So it is really quick. And we really want you to get those 3 sessions in before the end of the year so that you can hit that January 1st and have access to 3 more.
I'm going to jump in here too. No, as someone who's a specialist at getting all my benefits in December, I can totally appreciate that that trick of the trade. Is
yeah.
I started accumulating them from even January this year. So I think that was great, and I think I know, Makenzie, one thing you said, and it really resonates with me about the those of us who are in positions where we need coaching. But again, I think when you reflect back on earlier in your career and the role that mentorship plays, right? It is such an important thing to have people who have a good understanding of how the world works, who have thought processes and tools to support you. And again, I know when I've been in this role, I'm just over 3 years, and I don't think I've had a day where I haven't uh, learned something. Not always good stuff, but have learned something every day. I think like so much of it too is just sometimes it's about getting you outside of your bubble and having somebody reframe the situation
Yeah.
in a way that helps you understand uh, and then additionally, the other thing is that one of the most comforting things in the world is when someone tells you, "Hey, I've been here before. This is what happened to me. This is how we got through it. And this was like, there will actually be pros out of this situation that it right now can be difficult." So I think that was really that kind of idea of the value of coaching and having someone who can guide you and also hold you accountable. Because as someone who pays a lot for a gym membership, I call it my shower membership because I really just go there to shower between events. But in theory, that is supposed to hold me accountable to not light all that money on fire. But this was great. Thank you so much. And I think, it's a great way to kick off our small business week. And thanks to Keith and the Hamilton Economic Development and Invest in Hamilton team for their support, because I think this is really the starting point, right? Is of Small Business Week to say, hey, we have to take time to make ourselves a little bit better and to uh, understand that we have to take time for ourselves to really be in a position to be uh, in a good spot. And I will tell just my final conclusions for the whole group here that I will say is I know one of the best pieces of advice I got from one of the senior managers or senior executives in this community who was running one of the major organizations. They said, listen, no matter what, you got to find your 4 or 5 day weekend once every third month or so where you go away and you are away from work. Because if you don't recharge your batteries, if you don't take the time to make sure that you can disassociate from this place, you're going to just put yourself in a tough position. And it really resonated with me because I think those are often the times when we have those sparks of geniuses. And so having people who can guide and help you get to those spots is very important. So thank you for your time and energy today. Thank you to our partners at Chamber Plan. And I'm going to make sure I get my 3 sessions in before the new year and then back in January. So
Okay.
wishing you all a great day ahead, and we'll see you all tomorrow for our session at 1:00 on Tuesday, October 21st. And I would be foolish if I didn't say it. Go Blue Jays. Have a great day, everybody.
Woo!
Okay. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.